All right, what's up, everyone? We're back here at Pastime Tattoo. I'm Ben Verhoek, and we're watching Tattooing with Ben. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of a couple different aftercare products and which ones are best to use in which scenario. I have another video where I go over what I recommend to my clients for aftercare. If you want to check that out, click that right there. And before I begin this video, I just want to emphasize whatever your tattooer recommends for aftercare, even if it's different from what I say in this video, do what your tattooer does. So let's talk about the pros and cons of the 3 different aftercare products that I like to use for my tattoo. The first aftercare product we're going to talk about, the good old-fashioned plastic wrap. This kind here is Kirkland Signature. You can get this at Costco. I get it on Amazon. I'll leave the link in the description below so you can get it if you want to. This is like the old school way to do it, tried and true. The pros about plastic wrap, it works great for large scale stuff. Back pieces, full fronts, sleeves, leg sleeves. It's so much easier to just get a big old piece of plastic, wrap it around the arm, or put a big old cape of plastic going down the whole back piece, as opposed to getting a whole bunch of little Saniderms and patching them. It gets expensive. Which leads me to my next pro about plastic wrap. It's relatively inexpensive and it goes a long way. One of these will last you a long time. So let's talk about some of the cons about using this plastic wrap. To properly protect the tattoo when using plastic wrap, you also have to use tape, maybe a piece of paper towel to stop it from leaking, putting on some gauze over it, like a Sensi wrap, to make sure that it stays in place and it's nice and tight, and also to protect it from sun rays. And all those things just add to your cost of it. You got to kind of weigh all that out. Another con is that it only stays on for like the first hour or two. On top of that, if it's not put on really well with tape and everything like that, if people are moving around a whole bunch, it tends to just slide off, and then next thing you know, their tattoo is exposed, maybe they're bleeding on a bunch of shit, and it just gets really gross. And another con about plastic wrap, it's not very breathable. If you're putting it on for a prolonged period of time, the heat from your tattoo could make perspiration and then your sweat and all the juices and stuff. And the last con that I have about plastic wrap is that it's transparent. So what does that mean? It exposes your tattoo to ultraviolet rays from the sun. We all know how bad that is. All right, the next aftercare product that I use a lot is these Dri-Loc Pads. I'll leave a link in the description below for these Dri-Loc Pads too if you want to check these out. When you buy like chicken cutlets at the grocery store, and in like the little styrofoam that the chicken is in, when you take out the chicken, this is underneath it, sopping up all the nasty chicken juices. It's basically the same thing. It has a black outside to protect the tattoo from the ultraviolet rays in the sun, and then on the white side, on the inside, it has all that absorbent stuff on it. Let's talk about the pros of using Dri-Loc Pads. The first pro about Dri-Loc Pads, it's a lot cheaper than the Saniderm second skin stuff. It could be bought in bulk cases for relatively not that much money, like 500 or 1,000 of these. So they'll last you a really long time. Even if you buy it for your whole shop, it'll take a little while to go through them all. And much like those meat packs, the white side just absorbs all the nasty juices, so you ain't gonna be seeing a whole lot of leakage. Another pro, like I mentioned earlier, the dark exterior blocks it from the sun, so you don't have to worry about all that. And another pro is that it's a lot more breathable than the plastic wrap. So let's talk about some of the cons of these Dri-Loc Pads. I guess one of the cons would be it's kind of difficult to patch together when you have a large scale tattoo, like sleeves and back pieces. Trying to fucking put a whole bunch of these together and then tape them one by one and try to like make it look like a patch quilt. It's just a pain in the ass and never usually works out. So these are really only good for like smaller tattoos. Another con, much like the saran wrap, to use it correctly, you're gonna also have to use tape, Sensi wrap. Even though these are relatively inexpensive, again, you're gonna have to be buying all that other stuff to put it on there properly. And another con is it only stays on for about the first hour or so, much like the saran wrap. The protection is there, but not for that long. And then finally, we have our third aftercare product, my personal favorite actually, Saniderm or Tegaderm or Second Skin or Who's a What's a Derm. There's a lot of names, there's a lot of brands, but it's essentially the same shit. I actually prefer orange and white one. Here's what the box looks like. It's from a brand called Alien Med. I get it off Amazon. I'll put the link in the description below. The reason I like these better than like actual Saniderm or Second Skin is they're a little more stretchy and flexible. It fits on like, say, like a hinge, like on the arm. When the arm moves one way or the other and twists, it'll kind of like stretch with the arm as opposed to like staying firm and pulling on it, which essentially kind of fucking hurts as it's pulling on an open wound. I really like these. You're gonna want to check them out. But let's talk about the pros and cons of these. A pro about this is you get to leave it on for 3 or 4 days. days. Some people like to even say leave it on for a week. Some people like to put it on for a day, take it off, clean it real good, put another one on for another few days. Basically, the longer it's on, the more protection it has, and that's a good thing. Another pro is there's no need for any other materials like tape or Sensi wrap or paper towels or anything like that. Just slap this thing on. It's like a sticker, set it and forget it, basically. Another pro is that it comes in boxes with a whole bunch of them, or it comes in a box with a big ass roll. So if you're doing large scale stuff, you don't have to patch a bunch of these together. You can just get a big roll and cut it out to size. Another pro is these tend to heal tattoos a lot quicker. From my experience, a lot of my clients are always telling me like, oh my God, that second skin it heals it so much quicker. In some cases, even the peeling process happens before you even take this off. So it kind of like is skipping the peeling process. Another pro is that it protects the tattoo in the first few days, which is essentially when the tattoo is most prone to infection. That window of time when the tattoo is most vulnerable. That little window of time when the tattoo is the most vulnerable to getting infected, this thing protects it and gets rid of all the outside factors. Another pro, it's breathable. There's little microscopic air holes in there, so there's enough ventilation to where the tattoo can breathe, but not enough air gets in there where it starts to cause gabbing. When it's applied properly, there's no leakage. Sometimes maybe it'll leak out a little bit and it's pretty gross, but a lot of good pros, I would say. But let's talk about the cons of these things. First con, as you can see, it's transparent. So what does that mean? It lets the tattoo be exposed to sunlight, ultraviolet rays. Another con about this is they tend to get a little pricey. A box only has 50 of them, and if you're doing larger scale tattoos, you're gonna put a bunch of them together, and next thing you know, you're gonna have to reorder. That cost adds up a little bit. Another con is from time to time, and this is kind of rare, in some instances, clients with sensitive skin, sometimes the adhesive tends to give them a little negative reaction, a little rash, a little redness. It's one of those things where you don't really know until you put it on. There's no way to tell beforehand. Another con is the nasty ink sac. I don't know if you've seen it on the internet. When it's on, all the stuff that secretes out of your tattoo over the first few days gets trapped in there in like a nasty little ink sac. It looks like a blood blister with ink and ooze and shit in there. It looks pretty gross. Another con is if someone is really hairy around the tattoo, and if you put it on and the adhesive touches the hair, it tends to not stick as well and leak a little bit more. So I don't know a way around that. If you do, let me know in the comments. So those are the pros and cons of all the tattoo aftercare products that I use. I guess there's not really one that's better than the other. It's all just kind of case by case. Sorry that I didn't say which one is better. Maybe you could let me know which one you like better in the comments. Have you used any of these? Have you used all of these? Has it worked for you? Has it not worked for you? Let me know. I'd love to hear about it. All right, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe it provided some sort of value to you. If so, hit that like button. If you haven't already, maybe consider subscribing. It would take you just a second, and you could hit that bell icon too and get a notification every time I drop a new video. All right, thanks for watching.